Good afternoon and welcome everybody to our webinar on Creo 12 enhancements. My name is Maddie and I'm the marketing assistant here at PLM Central. I'm just going to quickly give you a walkthrough of today's agenda. We'll start by exploring the key features and benefits of the latest Creo release. And as the session goes on, there will be some live demos. And to wrap it up, we'll have a live Q&A session. I won't take much of your time. I won't be doing the presentation. I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Andy, who's the Senior Application Consultant, and he will go through the rest of the presentation with you. Andy, over to you.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. I'm Andrew Lawn and I'm a Senior Application Consultant here at PLM Central. Today I'd like to give you an overview of the latest Creo 12 enhancements. So for those of you who don't know who we are a PLM Central and we're part of PTC Partner Network. The team is based in Watford and we have over 25 years association with PTC products with Windchill, Creo, ThingWorks and Mathcad and other PTC products. This team specialise in large-scale digital transformation, deploying and upgrading Creo and Windchill landscapes to support our customer needs. Our mission, we design innovation. We work very closely with our customers and give the best service possible. Over the past year, Creo 12.4 has introduced more than 250 new enhancements, all aimed at making software easier to use and helping teams work more efficiently. As more companies move into composite materials, Creo has kept pace by expanding its tools in this area, staying ahead of competitors in the process. With the rise of electrification and the growing complexity of products, engineers are expecting more from their CAD systems. Creo continues to build on its simulation-driven and generative design features, adding new physics and optimization options to help meet those demands. Model-based definition also remains a big focus as more businesses look to unlock the full potential of their digital thread. And on the manufacturing side, Creo continues to evolve its addition and subtractive capabilities to give users more flexibility from design through to production. So let's start with productivity and usability. PTC continue to modernize the Creo trees, updating the layer tree, improving model tree performance and streamlining workflows between the design tree and the quilt body evolution tree. There are many times when designing you need to quickly hide or unhide components or geometry to focus your visualization. Creo 12 has introduced a temporary visibility state, allowing you to quickly capture the state and then return to the previous state as needed. As customers update to new versions of the software, it gets difficult to identify what has changed. Creo 12 has introduced a What's New highlighting so users can quickly identify new features and functionality. In addition, users can learn more about the functionality and get more detailed information if needed. Once the user is comfortable that the enhancement, then they can turn the highlighting off. I think the introduction of feature presets will be a very welcome addition to Creo. At its basic level, it's a way to change the default settings for a feature. The users can capture multiple different feature presets, simplifying and standardizing the design process. A great example of this would be holes. The user can define his most common holes as a preset. For example, a user perhaps has 3 main types of sizes of holes that he uses most often. The user can capture all the settings for the 3 holes and will be able to quickly place and reuse them with just a single click. This is not only for the user, but this can also be shared with the entire organization, enabling greater reuse and design standardization. Multi-body design keeps getting more capable in Creo 12 and is becoming a really practical way to work with the master model approach. Instead of juggling multiple parts in an assembly, you can build everything as one part made up of different bodies. That makes it easier to explore ideas in a single space, and when the design is finalized, you can then still break it down into its individual parts. To simplify the process, Creo now lets you generate an associated assembly structure directly from the master model, saving a lot of manual effort. Another common scenario with working with Creo is supplier components. These often come in as step files that are set up as assemblies. Most of them, though, you don't want to deal with every single part. You just want one file and one part number. With Creo 12, you can now import step files as a multi-body part, so you can get all the geometry without the overhead of managing dozens of unwanted components. On the sheet metal side, multi-body support is growing too. The sweep flange feature has been expanded, and there are now options for controlling thickness during conversion. And finally, shrink wrap has been improved with more flexibility. You can now decide whether or not to include construction bodies in the shrink wrap, giving you more control over how lightweight models are built. Creo 12 brings some solid improvements to existing features. In sheet metal, there's now a fully dependent mirror feature, and the join command has been expanded to handle multiple walls or bodies at once. Before, everything had to be touching, but now Creo will automatically extend the walls so they intersect and then connect them with a bend. This cuts out a lot of manual cleanup. Another request from customers has been better ways to capture the minimum size of a product for shipping and packaging purposes. To help with that, the enclosed volume feature now sits in the footer of the model tree. This means it always updates with the latest dimensions, and you can even be added to the start part so you don't have to think about it later. Those values also can be pushed into Windchill as parameters, ensuring there's always an up-to-date size available across all parts. On the welding side, Creo 11 introduced spot welding workflows using joint members. Creo 12 builds on that with new ways to control managing products with a lot of welds. Weld export has been expanded to include groove welds in addition to fillet welds, making it easier to generate data for offline programming of welding robots. Creo 12 continues to expand its surfacing tools. The style feature, a type of super feature that can hold curved surfaces, trims and more, has been expanded so you can now rule out and replace entities inside it. That makes design changes faster and simplifies the back and forth of rebuilding geometry. Connection handles in both style and freestyle have also been updated to match the look and behavior of those tools, like boundary blend, making them more consistent and easier to use. On top of that, both boundary blend and curve through point have been improved to deliver smoother, higher quality surfaces and more predictable results when you make changes. Another area that's been addressed is cleaning up surface patches. Anyone who's worked with imported geometry knows the headache of dealing with tons of tiny, unnecessary patches that complicate the model. Creo 12 introduces an approximate surface feature that lets you replace multiple small patches with a single smooth surface, keeping the shape and connectivity intact while reducing model complexity and speeding up the workflow. Sustainability is a bigger priority for most companies, and that starts right at the initial design stage. Understanding what materials are being used and what their impact will be. Creo 12 adds a direct connection to Windchill, so material usage and quantities can be shared and managed as objects in Windchill. That link makes it easier to tie into lifecycle analysis tools, helping teams better evaluate the environmental impact of design decisions early on. Performance has also been improved when working with large assemblies from Windchill. Users can now define a design context with just the components they actually need to work on and pull the subset directly into Creo. Instead of retrieving the entire assembly to check dependencies, Creo now only brings in the relevant data. The result, much faster retrieval times and a quicker path to getting the real design work done. I'll just let this demo finish because it's that's opening the subset and you can see it's a lot faster. Moving on. Okay, Creo marks the third release of Composite Design Solution, and each version has added more capability and efficiency. In Creo 11, zone-based plies made it easier to work with models that had large ply counts. Creo 12 takes that further with automatically merging of neighbouring plies. If two plies share the same material and orientation, the system combines them into one, cutting down on manual cleanup. Usability has also been improved. For example, the transition tool can now apply transitions across multiple edges at once, saving time on repetitive setup. Another addition is the laminate reference model, which works similarly to the manufacturing reference model, where the design part would be inherited from the manufacturing part. It allows changes needed for the manufacturing without altering the original design model. A good example of this would be the difference between a casting model and a finished machine part. The biggest leap, though, in Creo 12 comes from performance. Building the final solid model from composites is now much faster and more robust than before, setting a new benchmark for speed without sacrificing accuracy or detail needed to properly represent each ply and drop-off. Design for electrification. Designing modern products means dealing with more complex electrical systems than ever before. Many of today's machines, vehicles and devices contain miles of wiring, which also makes the design process more demanding and requiring a more collaborative approach. Creo 12 helps tackle this challenge by bringing its well-known strengths in assembly design into cabling and harness work. Instead of treating the harness as a single part, Creo now handles it as a full assembly, with spools, wiring, terminators, and more. So teams can now work together using the same tools and workflows they already rely on for mechanical assemblies. This shift makes it easier to reuse standard elements like spools and cable types, while also keeping everything organized and reportable. Harness information can be managed in Windchill, making it straightforward to generate a complete harness bill of materials. On the ECAD side, Creo has also added support for user-defined attributes in the IDX format, and also introduced sketch regions for ECAD boards, further smoothing the collaboration between electrical and mechanical design. I'll just let you watch the end of this demo. And that's a completed demo. Simulation-driven design. Simulation continues to play a bigger role in design, especially as teams look for ways to explore ideas and optimize earlier in the design process. Creo 12 expands on its integration with ANSYS, bringing in the latest solvers and making it easier for engineers to use simulation as part of their everyday workflow. One focus has been simplifying results across Simulation Live and Creo ANSYS Simulation, so users can interpret findings more consistently. To cut down setup effort, Simulation Live now automatically creates contacts, which also helps reduce the chance of human errors. Both Simulation Live and Creo ANSYS Simulation also give support for bolted structures, opening up a much more realistic analysis for common assembly types. On the generative design side, Creo now supports thermal optimization. That means engineers can generate concepts that account for not just structural or modal requirements, but also for heat dissipation, an increasingly important factor in many designs. And we'll move on to the next model-based definition. Creo 12 builds further on its model-based definition tools, helping companies make the shift towards a more connected, model-centric workflow. By keeping all product information directly in the 3D model, teams can reduce errors and strengthen their digital thread. This release expands support for step AP242 and now includes 3D PDF export, making it easier to share model data across different platforms. Annotations can now be reused across models, regardless of the annotation feature they were created in, cutting down on repetitive work and improving efficiency. Performance has also been refined. Combination states handle larger sets of elements more smoothly, and switching between states no longer triggers unnecessary regenerations. Both GD&T Advisor and Easy Tolerance Analysis have been updated to cover more scenarios, with support now extended to datum reference features and intent surfaces. Design for manufacturing. Now turning to manufacturing, Creo 12 continues to expand both additive and subtractive capabilities. More companies are turning to additive manufacturing to create mold tools, and Creo 12 introduced a new conformer cooling feature. This automatically generates cooling channels that follow the shape of the part, helping the mold cool more evenly. The result: faster production times and longer tool life. These channels are usually made with additive manufacturing, and you can control their shape to make the printing process smoother. Lattice creation and optimization has also been improved. You can now create custom lattices with variable density based on simulation results, which allows for stronger, lighter, and more efficient designs. On the subtractive side, high-speed machining continues to get smarter. Creo 12's adds support for undercut machining operations, giving more flexibility in 3-axis machining, and provides better control over multi-body parts in a manufacturing assembly. Overall, these updates make it easier for manufacturing engineers to work faster and more efficiently. Okay, thank you. I hope you've all enjoyed what you've seen today. This was just an insight into the 250 plus amazing capabilities added in Creo 12.